Just the Tootsie Rolls, the mini ones. And then he went on to become OIG for the Justice Department. So basically, he was an investigator for the guys that worked at the Justice Department. Okay, that was pretty cool. And with that career, he came back to Maine, and he started teaching at CMCC, and then began his career shortly after at York County Sheriff's Department as the chief deputy that he is now. And I tell you, I worked for the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office, and I had some involvement with York County Sheriffs in a program, and I was going down for meetings and such, and this man treated me with so much respect that when he asked me to be here, there was no way that I wasn't. Because you've seen that snow out there. It might be deep for you, but I mean, it is deep for me. So I made it through here. There was no way I was not going to be here to announce the next sheriff of York County, Chief Bill King, hopefully sheriff of York County. Here you go, sir.
I'm really humbled that everybody came out here today, especially with this weather. I really appreciate that. I think I would be remiss if I didn't start thanking some people that really made this possible. My wife Margarita is really my biggest cheerleader. My mother, who's always in my corner, my brother, the rest of my family. Sheriff Willett told me when I started, if I was interested in being sheriff, I said, well, I don't know anything about politics, and then Sheriff Joyce told me, he said, listen, it's really difficult because you're a cop trying to be a politician, whereas politicians are always trying to be cops, but and he's absolutely right, it is. It's very, very, very difficult. But Sheriff Willett did tell me one thing. He said, you're going to find help in the most unlikely sources. And it was odd because Margarita went to some type of a meeting, and she met this lady, and she came back, she said, oh my God, this lady was fantastic. She encouraged me to run for school board, which Margarita did, and she won the second largest vote getter. I thought it was pretty good in Saco. And this lady was Donna Flanagan. And she really helped Margarita become a political, I don't want to say animal, but become really politically astute. And I said, gee, that's really good. She's got a winning record. Hey, Donna, will you help me? And seriously, Donna Flanagan, right over there, really was the one that put this thing together. And I just can't thank people enough. I also want to recognize Sheriff Joyce is in the audience, Chief Gagnon from Cumberland County. I appreciate you coming out. Mayor Pylon is here. Mayor Cassavant. Assistant Chief Demers is also here. My Major, Tom Barron, appreciate it. You're going to see a lot of people with Bill King for Sheriff stickers on. Those are my town captains. If you've got any questions, please see them. They've got a lot of information. And my volunteers. I just really, I'm humbled that you folks are out here helping me, and I really, really appreciate it. The sheriff, it's also humbling because Sheriff Willett, who had another commitment, but he's going to be here in a little while, he's been with the Sheriff's Office for 16 years. It really is his baby. And he truly wasn't sure if he was going to retire or not. And he told me, he said, I'm not going to retire until I have the right person to take my place. Because he wanted to continue that upward progression. And over a lot of discussions, he finally just said, I said, yeah, I'm really, I do want to run for sheriff. Because, I mean, I can get a job. But I think that this is it's such a noble job. It's such a noble profession, and I want to continue with the sheriff's office. And politics is a very difficult decision to make. I mean, just this morning, they asked Chris Christie, are you going to run for president? And his response was, he's going to cross that bridge when he comes to it. As the sheriff, I am going to continue this upward progression. I want to see a lot more involvement with the corrections side. I want corrections officers, when we have an opening for deputy, I want to really look hard at the corrections side to fill those vacancies, to move those folks on. We need to increase our staffing. We're dangerously understaffed. Okay, taxpayers are saying, hold on, I don't want my taxes to go up, and I hear you. But I have some ideas to increase some different revenue streams to try to get that and to kind of cut costs in other areas, but we do need increased staffing. And my gosh, I think I'm sounding like a politician now. But I did get some advice, though. I asked Mayor Pylon. I said, well, Mayor, what should I say today? He said, hey, anything you say, keep it short. So I'm going to do that now. I really appreciate everybody's here for the support, and I'm overwhelmed. Thank you very, very much. Thanks.
Now, I know you mentioned that you wanted to keep it short, and I don't know if that's why you had me come up. But the chief, he had some comedy there. That was pretty funny. We should have him up here, you know. This guy, he wants to be, he's in the media all the time. I mean, if you're in Southern Maine, the chief's on TV more than, you know, most furniture commercials, more car commercials. You would think that, you know, Mike Chitwood was back in Southern Maine or something like that. But no, really, I look up to this guy. I mean, he stands tall in the law enforcement community, and like I said, he wants to be the next sheriff, the long arm of the law. If I was ever going to be sheriff, I'd say, no crime too small to investigate. I always wanted, you know, to be a sheriff or a deputy. You know, I always aspired to do that, to be not the tall, dark sheriff, maybe just a short, squat deputy that's out there working hard to crush crime. And I realize it's a really hard goal. I mean, first of all, you have the physical agility. You have to jump like a 6-foot wall. That was my first wall, of course. Couldn't figure out how to do that, but I really found out why I couldn't become a deputy or a sheriff or in law enforcement. And that was because there was really no room in the cruiser for my car seat. And so it was really hard that way. And also I realized that if I pulled somebody over, they wouldn't even know I was beside their car. They might see the top of my hat or something like that. And so I realized that was one of the things. And the other thing was I kept dragging the barrel of my gun in my holster on the ground. And I knew that was just not good. And the other thing I started realizing is the other deputies, every time they were using their rifles, they were resting right on top of my head. That's pretty loud. But I mean, it's all good. I mean, I realized too, once, you know, I was training to be a deputy, I was in the uniform, and when I went to Dunkin' Donuts to get my coffee, they didn't give me a donut, they gave me munchkins. I tell you, but it's a real noble profession of being in law enforcement. I do work for the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office. I'm doing accreditation for the Sheriff's Office, which I'm very proud to be serving, Sheriff Joyce. And when Chief called me and had me come down and speak for him, man, I couldn't get here fast enough. So, but I want to talk about not so much law enforcement, but I want to talk about what it's like to be me. Now, you know, I can't be a sheriff, but you know, what I decided to do is all my life, I'm always trying to measure up. It started very, very young. I just wanted to be as tall as a yardstick. Man, I waited and I waited and waited, and it wasn't until like 6th grade that I finally made it as tall as a yardstick. Of course, 6th grade was hard for me. It was the best 4 years of my life. But that was the big goal. And what you people, you nice tall people, you guys say it's a small world, but I beg to differ, it's a tall world. Just simple things in your life is not so simple for me. Let me explain some things, you know. I went to Olive Garden the other day, and they got the all-you-can-eat buffet at lunch. I had all kinds of lettuce, because I couldn't reach any of the good stuff, because they keep all the good stuff in the middle. So I had some lettuce, some shredded carrots, but then I found out they had some shrimp. Now, that's kind of offensive to me normally, but no, I wanted the shrimp and I wanted all of it. So I realized that I was below the sneeze guard. So that shrimp became mine. What's really hard is every time I go to McDonald's, I stand in line, and they take the family in front of me, then they take the family in back of me, and they keep thinking I'm with all the other kids, you know? And so, you know, it takes forever for me to get the food and get what I want. And then they give you the cups now. What's up with that? They can't even pour your soda for you anymore. So now I got a cup. Now, For some reason, they have to have the big rail in front of the soda machine and a couple other things. You know how hard it is to be climbing up on a rail with your Big Mac and trying to get that ice and push the button and the ice all at the same time? It is hard, I tell you. It's hard. And you know, well, not only is that hard, but like an elevator. Do you know how hard it is for little people like me in an elevator? Let me explain. First of all, the doors open. I get in and the doors close. The first thing I realize, I can only go to about the second floor and I have to walk the rest of the way because I can't reach any more of the buttons. The other thing I realize is when the second floor opens and more people get in, I get pushed to the back, I realize who has gas. You might be fooling everybody, but you're not fooling me. It's really hard. And the other thing is, for some reason, when people have to talk to me, they have to do it like this. Hi, Dennis. And they bend over and they talk to me. And they talk slow. I don't get it. Hello, Dennis. How are you today? And I'm always like, really? So I have fun with them. I'm fine. I lost my mom. Can you help me? And then they usually run when I say, oops, I pooped myself. And they run because they think I want help or whatever. But that's what happens. People talk slow to me. And then the other thing is, because I'm a little person, I get this all the time. Now, no offense to Little Louie, but everyone thinks Little Louie's from here, great wrestler, great guy. But just because he's a little person, they think I know him. And I get that all the time. I come down to Biddeford all the time. Hey, you know Little Louie? I don't know Little Louie. I think he's a great guy. But not only does it happen with Little Louie, but there'll be somebody that was in Massachusetts yesterday who has a cousin that's a little person, and they'll come up to me and say, hey, my cousin's a little person. His name's Bob. Do you know him? No. No, I don't. And I'm trying to understand, why would they think I know them? But that happens all the time. And the other thing that happens is people, because of my size, and they know who I am, they remember my name, and then they'll come up to me all the time and say, hey, how you doing? And I'm trying to remember who they are. And that happens so much that I use my wife now. That's how because I'm getting old, and not only am I short, but my memory's getting shorter. And hence having to use notes. I use shorthand, by the way. It's just hard in an everyday world, just to get by in a tall world. Like going to the grocery store, I can only get the stuff on the first two shelves. I learned how to use a shopping cart as a gondola. First thing I do is I go over to the kitchen utensils and get myself a mop. And then I go and get my shopping cart. It's kind of like this. And it works pretty good. But you know, you can never find someone to help you in the store when you need it. How many times I know ladies, you're trying to get something up on the 6th shelf somewhere, and you can never find anybody. But for me, I try to find somebody. If you start climbing the shelves, people start coming pretty fast. Pretty fast. I'm just trying to think of some other examples. Let's see. You know what I hate too is, like, my wife and I are always fighting over the shower head. She goes in, she adjusts it, so it's all fine for her. And then when I get in, I got to stand up against the back of the wall, trying to get wet. So usually, if I can't do that, I fill up the tub, and I do laps. That's where I get my exercise. Exercise is hard for a little person, let me tell you that. Oh man, I went to the gym. I could not pick anything up and put it down. I tried to pick it up and put it down, pick it up. I couldn't even try to pick it up. Those machines in those places are there to kill little people. Like I was using a universal. First thing I realized is I had to stand up on the stool thing to reach the bar. So I pull it all down with my weight. Then I sit down on the bench and I did my repetitions, all 3. Then I start shaking. And then I realized I gotta go another 4 feet up with this thing. But it was a fun ride. The other thing is like the treadmill. The treadmill, they have a safety switch and everything else, and this cord is just long enough that allows, by the time my height and everything, I have to be like this close to it. I'm trying to run. And